The man that Keroche heiress Anerlisa Muigai is currently dating has got quite a reputation. His name Joe Kariuki. He is currently known as the CEO of the company that was behind the fake fertilizer scandal. These are the two things that have made him quite popular in Kenya in the year 2024. But what else do we know about Joe Kariuki? What else has he been involved in? And what are the inspirations or the drives that made him to come up with this scheme where he was able to sell this fake fertilizer to about 8,000 farmers and make about 1.36 billion Kenyan shillings? I will be covering for you all this in this video, so stick till the end of this video to get all these tea. Okay, let's start. Now, not much is known about Joe Kariuki, but his dirty work is definitely known. Now, in 2017, he was arrested in Tanzania, and he was arrested for the same shady deals. It was alleged that he had frauded a guy going by the name Yusuf Mohammed cash 300 million. However, it was in Tanzanian money. Yusuf Mohammed proceeded to sue the man, and that is why he was arrested. The case dragged on for close to 2 years, but it eventually ended. He had been sentenced to 7 years, though he appealed, and he was released after making that appeal. So he was released in the year 2019. Joe Kariuki has a reputation of being a businessman and has been the CEO of a couple of business entities. One of them happens to be Candy and Candy Records. This was a music record label that attempted to revive the careers of some Tanzanian artists that had collapsed, for example, Husein, Machozi, and Mr. Nice. He also happens to be the CEO of a company going by the name 51 Capital, which is a company that has served a number of purposes. Among its first purposes was giving out unsecured loans to citizens and to families. The loans would range between cash 1,000 and 5,000 over a range of terms. This is what he claimed. This same company was also in charge of his forex trading businesses and his crypto businesses, and by this I am referring to Pessacoin, which was under 51 Capital. This was also the same company that got into partnership with NCPB for the GPC Fertilizer. In June 2021, the businessman was in a financial crisis, or rather was experiencing a financial crisis, which led to him losing his money and almost losing all his possessions, which were estimated to have the worth of over 100 million shillings. This includes farms, ranges, and cars. And he claims that he was on the verge of losing all this to auctioneers because at the same time he was also in massive debts. At this time, it is believed that he had lost about 300 million shillings as a business person. However, in 2022, he went back to his feet. He was able to settle all his debts and he was able to retain his possessions. So the question is, how was he able to do that? It looks like Joe Kariuki came up with the fake fertilizer scheme in order to get himself out of all these debts and keep himself up. It appears that Joe Kariuki came up with the fake fertilizer scheme early in January 2022, and this was what enabled him to keep himself afloat. In an article by Nairobi Wire dating back to early 2022, in fact, January 2022, he is asked, "You're now into agribusiness and have already launched your private agribusiness company. Tell us about it." Now, let's look at his answer. "I'm a deep thinker and an ideas person. I've always been passionate about farming and own massive ranches in Naivasha and Eldoret too. My tribulations got me thinking of venturing in a business that few have ventured into." Now that right there gives us a clue. His tribulations, we have just talked about how he was so much into debt, he had lost so much money already, and he was struggling to retain his business possessions. And then he goes on to say that he ventured into a business that few have ventured into. I mean, the whole fake fertilizer business is definitely a venture that few have ventured into. And then he goes on to say, "And that's when I launched my GPC farm products that include fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, earth powder, and more." At this point, you have established that these GPC fertilizers were not exactly authentic. He goes on to say, the business is only 3 weeks old and I cannot even believe the massive success. It has caught fire across the country. We're getting such crazy orders. I am totally overwhelmed. I wish I started it even earlier. It's mind-blowing. And then he was asked, you're saying that you produce your own agro products for animals and farms. He replies, yes, our production plant is in Nakuru. Now, this is a big clue right here, because the production plant of the GPC farms, according to Africa Uncensored, is actually in Nakuru, and this is a factory in Kariuki. We all know that Kariuki is in Nakuru, and right here he says, yes, our production plant is in Nakuru. So could this be just a coincidence? I highly doubt. He was then asked, wow, sounds impressive. How did you do it so fast? He responds by saying, I'm a hard worker and I believe strongly in the beauty of my dreams. I rarely jump into loss-making business. Okay, that's another clue right there, because this business, I mean, he was getting the fertilizer. The fertilizer wasn't really actual fertilizer or actual organic fertilizer. It was just sand from Kariuki, and I can only imagine the profits that they were able to make as they sold this fake fertilizer to the farmers. He goes on to say, and I knew that farming and all this agribusiness would definitely pull me out of my financial hole. And it's worked magic. Within a very short period of time, I have managed to pay off my debts, repossess all my properties, reopen my offices, and hire new staff. And remember, I started this video by telling you that the selling of fake fertilizers by this company has actually been able to earn this guy over 1 billion Kenyan shillings. So yeah, this right there tells us how, this statement right here by him tells us how the business had already started making profits, but it was a fraud business. It was a scheme, and I think he came up with the scheme because he wanted to stay afloat. And this does not justify what he did in any way, but I'm just trying to show you what may have drove him to actually come up with this scheme. He also mentioned at some point that he was giving out free fertilizers to some people, and we have the images right here, and we can clearly see that this is the same GPC fertilizer. So yeah, that is in summary what has been known, or what is known about. As for the question, who exactly is Joe Kariuki, someone going by the name Francis Muli may have given us the answer on X, if at all that he is saying is true. Now, he went ahead and made a tweet. This was back in 2022. He said, now, Joe Kariuki has combed Kinangop, Kiambu, Meru, and Embu as he sells his private GPC fertilizers, pesticides, and earth powders, training farmers, supplying products, and opening over 300 shops already, and doing it all like nothing ever happened, all in a span of 3 weeks. Now, this Joe Kariuki himself had talked about in the interview that is covered in the article that I had shown you earlier. Francis Muli goes on to say, he says that all the losses his investors made in Pessacoin shall all be remitted, blaming it all on his 2021 financial upheavals. He's moved from forex trading to cryptocurrency to music management to farming in less than a year. Just who this man is still remains a mystery. Indeed, it does still remain a mystery. This guy Muli goes on to say that the deals of Joe Kariuki have remained controversial. He's some sort of businessman with some sort of Midas touch, but also a shadowy figure whose successes, immense wealth, activities, forays into millions will forever astound many. He's still Joe Kariuki. Well, what I can say is, before I wrap up this video, for the longest time we've seen some articles about him, but no one ever really paid attention to who this guy is until now, and I just love getting to know more about him and just shedding light on this individual. Somebody should dig deeper about this, and we as BNN, we will do our best, because we are where the tea lies. I have been your girl, Rail Wangari. Remember that all this is alleged. See you next time for more updates.